Hey guys, Zach and Stubby here, and this week we're going to talk about USBs, specifically cards and how to install them in the computer. Probably run out of USB slots from time to time, and you could have installed a hub. You know, hubs are great, and I like them, and I use them too. They even can have card readers like these two. However, at some point you're going to find that you can't use multiple items of specific types at one time on one hub, or you're just going to find that you need extra power to them. You need a separate power supply for certain devices, but basically, I'm going to show you how and why getting a card into a PC is much easier. Stubby's ready to go. Let's jump into it. Let's just ground ourselves quick on what a USB cable is. Those are going to be the little rectangular cables that you're used to plugging in whenever you're putting something in. So you have your basic USB, but now you also have the newer USB-Cs, which you're starting to find on phones, video equipment, anything that's a little bit more advanced, and you're going to start to see them more because they have better data transfer and power management capabilities. And also I think because you don't have to flip them over 3 or 4 times to go in the right way. When I talk to people about USBs and the difference between hubs and cards, I usually use the hose analogy because most people will get a better visual picture for it. So on a hose you have a spigot, which you can put a splitter on. Now if you put a hose straight on the spigot, you're going to get the full amount of water. But if you put a splitter on it, you'll be able to divide that water 4 different ways. However, it's still the same amount of water. However, if you put a second spigot on there, now you have 2 spigots that are getting the full water rather than a quarter water. That's the idea behind the card. You're going to get a lot more data transfer through the card than you would just the one USB port working multiple USB cords. Looking at the back of the computer, you find the expansion bay and where you'll have to take off the section to install the card. I'm going to take the side off my newer computer just to show you kind of a clean version of what's going on. But I want to show you this on my new computer just because it's a little bit cleaner and I get to show it off. It's got a glass side because of the LED lighting coming out of there, but I just wanted to show you because it also has a lot more room with the cables so that you can really get a good view in there. What you're going to look for are the PCIe slots or PCI Express slots, and when you buy a computer it'll say generally if it has expansion slots available. So I'm going to zoom in down here. When you're looking at the expansion slots in the card, there's a couple things to remember, and one is the size. So look at the new PCI Express slot that most of the computers have, and look at the size versus what card you're going to be installing. It's important to know the size that comes in, and they are called lanes. So you can have between 1 and 16 lanes. Usually it's 1, 2, 3, 8, and 16. And the 8 and the 16 will be the same size, but the 8 will only have half the pins that are available, where the 16 will have all the pins available. So just read into the card and exactly how many it's going to need, and then look at the paperwork for your computer or the specs on your computer and find out exactly what you have available. If you still don't feel comfortable enough, you can go online, Google Belarc Advisor, B-E-L-A-R-C, and it's a third-party software that will look at your motherboard and tell you exactly which lanes you have open. It's a good idea anytime you have the cover off to go ahead and clean it out. Make sure that you get all that dust out of there. Just be careful not to scare your cat. Sorry there, Stubby. Opening up the card box, you're going to see that you have the card in a plastic bag. I've got 2 screws that came with it to help secure it down. The directions and kind of troubleshooting just to make sure that everything's in there. And this one even came with the CD with the driver on it. You don't see that a lot anymore, but some of them still send it out there. When you open up the bag, make sure to touch some metal before you actually grab the card just to make sure that you don't have any static. But you can see this has 2 Type-Cs on it and 5 regular USBs on it. Handling the card, try never to touch those copper contacts. First, you want to take off the security lever that's kind of covering the side screws on all of the openings for your expansion slots, and then go ahead and look inside, and you want to find the slot that lines up with where your PCI slots are. Those security screws will hold on 1 slot each, so once you look inside, say, okay, I'm going to go for the furthest slot away from my graphics card, that's the one that says GeForce, and I'm going to take off the very bottom slot. And that slot Once that screw comes off, there will be a little cover that comes off with it, and that will open the hole that's right along and in line with it for us to install that card in that slot. Slide it in with the copper contacts. Ensure that the hole lines up on the rail. And then we're going to put the screw right back in where we took it out so that it ensures that the card is locked into place. Some cards will have separate power to come across them. This one does not. It's grabbing it from the motherboard itself. We're going to put the safety rail back on. Those two screws pop in just where they came out from. And then we'll put the side of the computer back on. I am going through an office move right now, and that's why I still have the plastic on my computer. Hopefully sometime in the next 2 weeks you'll get to see my new office. It's in that area that I'm sitting in right now. It's just that there's drywall work being done there, so I can't really move down there yet. But there you have it. So I have 2 Type-Cs and 5 new USBs on my computer, allowing me to free up some more room.